Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal in life, and we are everyday people. Like to welcome you all to the show. In the midst of the George Floyd trial that's currently taking place, right? And also due to the fact that this is Women's History Month, I was actually sitting back waiting on someone to talk about an extraordinary woman that represented exemplary strength within the black community, who gave birth to a rapper by the name of Tupac, and his memory and his legacy lives on today. And I'm talking about none other than Afeni Shakur, the Black Panther. Right. I'm going to read something to you all in regards to Afeni Shakur. And I want to show you why she was significant even up till today in the midst of the George Floyd trial, because remember, she defended herself and won the case due to, one, the love that she had for herself, and two, the drive for freedom. Went in there unafraid and defended herself. I mean, trust me, y'all, that's very hard to do. I tried to do it myself, and believe me, when you going up against the United States government, the judges, the police officers, they're all on the same team. And it's hard to defend yourself if you don't know the lingo. So she studied, y'all. You understand? She studied this system. She studied the terminology as far as doing to words. She studied and understood the fact that defending yourself is something that can be done, and it actually can be achieved. So, I want to read something to you guys. Political and social activist and Black Panther member Afeni Shakur. She was looking up while photographing the scene during a rally in support of the Panther 21. New York, April 4th, 1970. The Panther 21 were Black Panther members arrested by New York police under suspicion of planning a series of bombings, charges that were eventually dropped against all the defendants, right? Though most Tupac fans were introduced to Afeni Shakur through the 1995 hit ballad Dear Mama, her fellow Black Panthers and those she advocated for in her organization days will remember her for much more. Jamal Joseph, Cleo Sivers, and Durabe Ben Wahid are three Panthers who were greatly impacted by Afeni's life and leadership. They reflected on her time in New York City as a paralegal and her work with the Black Panther Party, which she joined as a teen in 1968. Joseph met Afeni the first day he joined the Panther at age 15. He came for a gun, but was instead given books and a mentor in Afeni Shakur. Afeni would teach people how to lead themselves. Hold on. She would teach people on how to lead themselves, right? Not being led by someone. How to have enough guts and gumption within you, the individual, to lead yourself. Afeni would teach people how to lead themselves. She would not just help people, then leave, shared Joseph, also the author of Tupac Shakur's legacy in Panther Baby. She made sure you knew how to get out of your own circumstances and your march toward liberation. being able to transform personally and in the community. Let me read that again, y'all. She made sure you knew how to get out of your own circumstances and your march towards liberation. Being able to transform personally and in the community. Meaning the power is within. You got to go out and do it. Don't be looking to your left and to your right and up and down for some help. It comes from within. During the 80s, Afeni turned to drugs in her struggle with the post-traumatic stress of government oppression on the Black Panther Party after seeing many leaders and fellow organizers die. Friends say it became the way she coped. Meaning, we all saw the story on Jesus and the Black Messiah and how they murdered Fred Hampton, right? And Afeni was basically, in that period in time, to cope with all that death and all the heartbreak, to where she took on drugs as a coping mechanism, which it never works out, and it never worked out for anyone, the use of drugs. But we're so standoffish. Two parts to that. We see someone going through something, but yet we don't want to get involved in their personal space. And then those of us who are going through something, we have so much pride till we don't want to let people in because we want to be fearless, like we can handle it, right? And that's detrimental on both sides. So you have to let someone come in and aid you in the sense to talk to, so you can release that burden that you carry, so it don't start affecting you internally, right? And once it starts affecting you eternally, you look for coping mechanisms to deal with it, and then it sends all type of chemicals through your body, and then your health starts fading, and so on and so forth. So, can't do that. Joseph worked with Afeni for several years, some of them while she was on drugs. She was still more dynamic and focused and powerful than some people were while sober, recalled Joseph, who also acknowledged that by the time their mama debuted, she was an active part of Tupac's life and was a close advisor to him. Joseph was the youngest of the Panther 21 trial in 1971. Afeni, Joseph, and 19 Panthers were accused of conspiring to bomb department stores and police stations in New York City. Afeni told the other Panthers she would represent herself after reading History Will Absolve Me by Fidel Castro, and noted that if they lost the case, she would be the one serving, not the lawyers. As a pregnant single mom, she made her argument and interviewed several witnesses while facing a 300-year sentence. Look, she was facing 300 years if she lost this case. She was interviewing witnesses. She came up with her own defense. Show you the power of a black woman, and you all not highlighting Afeni Shakur during Black Women's History Month? Oh, come on, man. The bail was set at $100,000 for each Panther. Afeni became the first to be released, followed by Joseph, because the party knew they could go around and speak on the others' behalf, which they did, and help raise funds to help the other prisoners come home. In the end, the case was acquitted. Wow. Political and social activist and Black Panther member Dhamruba Ben Wahid speaks at a rally in support of the Panther 21, New York, April 4, 1970. Panther 21 were Black Panther members, and they were arrested by New York police on suspicion of planning a series of bombings. Ben Wahid was also one of the defendants in the Panther 21 trial and served as the field secretary for the New York chapter of the Black Panther Party at that time. He was also indicted on charges of attempted murder and wrongfully convicted in 1973. He was then sent back to jail as a political prisoner for 19 years. Before his imprisonment, Ben Wahid served alongside Afeni and vividly remembers meeting her for the first time. When Afeni first came up to Harlem with her wide smile and enthusiasm, she had a high level of intensity, but at heart she was a country girl. She stood out because of her closely cropped hairstyle, a radical rebellion for black women at that time. After the repression of the party from the government increased, Ben Wahid says that Afeni's attitude started to change and she gained even more grit. She was the type of person that worked hard, would stay up all night to get leaflets done, though she also had a sense of humor. She was a good person to have in the fight with you, Ben Wahid explained. I mean, come on, man. You know, the fight, things we have to go through, especially seeing our women on the front line, going up against this beast, and she's unafraid, and she's defending herself to where she won the case by learning this system. You have one of the most important things that you have to learn about this system is the terminology and the etymology of words, and how to use those words in your defense is very important. Some lawyers don't even know that. Right. A large part of her fight and legacy was in letting people know how they could use their constitutional rights. Afeni helped organizers to create the first version of the Panthers' Bill of Rights that can now be found in hospitals across the country. Cleo Silvers was with Afeni as she used to meet with patients, Panthers and community supporters at Lincoln Hospital to advocate for patient rights. On the first day, Silvers went to Harlem to join the movement. She remembers Afeni greeting her with a big smile. Afeni made sure that all women were working together and showed each other mutual support, said Silvers. Silvers recalls that Afeni was a very progressive mother with Tupac, always engaging his curiosity and getting him involved in the arts, which she believes led him to his outstanding talent. After her son's death, Afeni continued to support youth in the arts program through her foundation. Today, the Shakur estate released a statement that read in part, an outspoken and eloquent advocate for today's youth, Afeni founded the Tupac-Shakur Foundation to instill a sense of freedom of expression and education through the arts. Her legacy will not be forgotten. Wow. Thank you, Mia Hall. That was powerful. You know, we gotta fight for each other. It's bigger than our neighborhoods, and it's bigger than our cities and who we want to people to represent our interests and whatnot. It's about situation, circumstances, what method was used to overcome the situation and the circumstances, and how we can apply that method to our everyday lives. That's what's important. Because anything other than that shows a sense of disunification. And the beast, the wolf, can sense and smell that disunification, and he knows just how to take advantage of it, and he knows how to divide and conquer, because that's his skill. That's his gift. And we got to stop feeding into the beast's hands. It serves no purpose. So, in this Black Women's History Month, that's what I'm calling it, right? We want to highlight and thank you, Afeni Shakur, and especially for your statement when you thanked Tupac for choosing you as a vessel to come through and be born on this planet. I mean, powerful. Powerful, powerful, powerful. So we'll never forget Afeni Shakur, and tell her story, teach her legacy. May she rest in peace as we highlight Afeni Shakur on Verbal Pig Radio. And we're out.